Hey everyone, Mr. Kimson here, and we're going to kick off from where we left off last time. And in this video, we're going to look at about styling our web page using something called CSS. Now, I do like the look of this website. It's nice and simple, but I guess we really want to think about how we can make this look a bit nicer. How can we style it in a way that most other websites do? And one thing that they do is, they change some simple things like the color, the fonts. We're going to look at how to do those things today. The first thing I want to talk about is there's a few different ways you can actually style a web page. The easiest way is to go to one of your tags, and remember we can change the attributes of a tag, so that's kind of changing something about it. And the way we change the style is we'll just type in style, and you can see again, so that's just attribute. And what kind of thing do you want to change about? Or if I want to change the color, for example, again it's suggesting me something there, and let's make the color blue. I'll save it and refresh. Ooh, we got some blue there. And I can do this for a whole heap of other tags too. I can do that for this one. Let's say we want the paragraphs to be red. So style, color, red. And let's do that. Cool, done it there. And we can, copy paste this and just drop it here. And do that again for this one. Alright, and it's working quite well. I hope you can start to see the problem with doing our styling in this way though. The issue is, right, if I have a whole heap of different tags here, I'm going to have to do this manually for each one. Now that's going to take a bit of time if I have a lot of content that I'm looking at. I haven't even started talking about, okay, what if I have another web page like this about us, right? I want to change this one. Again, I have to do the same thing. And I'll have to type that out for each web page I have. I might not just have one or two, I might have 5 or 10 or whatever, a whole heap of different web pages. Is there a better way to do this? And there is. Right? I'm going to get rid of these tags. And we're going to go back to our default black font. And I want to talk about something called CSS. Now, CSS stands for something called Cascading Style Sheets. So what that is going to be a separate file where we put all our styling. The advantage of that is I can literally say, okay, let's change the H1 tag, and we'll change all of them. Or I can change something about the paragraph tags, and we'll change all of them. And that's not just limited to something on this website, for example, right? I can change it for all the pages that I have. And that makes it really easy. I've got a central place where I'm changing all my styles, and that affects all the web pages that I've got. So how do I do that is the question. Well, like I said, I need to make a new file. So I'm making a new file here. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to call it main. And the file type is CSS. It's really important that I put that extension there. Okay, so again, nothing really happening here right now. With CSS files, we have a slightly different kind of syntax or language that we use to communicate with it, but we can still use some of the same vocab if you don't think about it that way with our HTML page, because these two things need to talk to each other. And speaking of talking to each other, like right now, like how does this HTML page know that this CSS page is what I want to change? It doesn't really know that, right? I have to be very clear on how to do that. So in order to link these two pages together, any of the thinking or the background work that I do, I have to go to the head of the HTML page. And if I want to link these together, start doing my tag, I'll just typing link. And you can see it already suggests something there, and when I press enter, it puts in all this text here. The important thing that you want to look at is href, and you've seen that before. That's kind of like, where is this file? Where's the link, right? When you're looking at anchor tags. And so this is where you're going to put what your CSS file is, and when I've saved in the same directory, all I need to type is main.css. Okay, so I'll save that. With the CSS file, again, it's important to realize that because you're just changing the styling, nothing that you type here is going to appear on your web page. The only thing that's going to be reflected is any of the styles you've changed, like the colors and fonts and things like that. So how do we actually do that? With a CSS file, you can essentially type one of 3 things, really. You can talk about the selector, the property, and the value. And that's essentially just a fancy way of saying, okay, what do you want to change? Well, I want to change my heading. All right, what do you want to change about it? Well, I want to change the color. Okay, what do you want the color to be? I want that to be blue. So that's how we can change things using CSS. So I'll type in my selector first. I'll type in, okay, what do I want to change? That's H1. Let's change the heading. Now, instead of using those tags we looked at before, I'm going to use these curly braces. And anything I want to change about my H1 tag, I'm going to put inside here. So now I have to change a property about it. We talk about color. Right? So it's the color, and then the value, let's make it blue. Okay, awesome. Now you may think, hey, didn't we already do this before? Like, I don't see much advantage. It just seems more annoying. I have to create this file now, right? Remember, what did I promise you before? This is a much better way of doing it because, right, if I want to change these paragraphs now, before I had to kind of go into each one and change it manually. But now what I can do is I can go E, that's the paragraph, and then curly braces, and say I want to change something about the color. Let's make the color red. Now what do you think's going to happen? Let's save all of this. Now all of them go red instantly. And see, that's the power of CSS. You can change one using one selector, and it's going to change all of them. Okay, awesome. Alright, so that's colors. Let's talk about fonts now. Now, fonts are really interesting because if you think about your normal, Microsoft Word, you can change the different fonts like Times New Roman, Courier, Calibri, and all that stuff. You can do that as well in HTML, but there are certain fonts that we want to work with, and there's certain ways that we do that. So the way I want to change the font is I'm going to start typing fonts, and you see already there's a whole heap of different things I can do. I want the family, okay? So we've got the font family. I can just type in a common font that you might use, maybe, let's say, Verdana. Now, anytime I write something here, I have to end this with a semicolon, so otherwise it won't work. So make sure you're doing that. Editing things in CSS. And you can see when I refresh it, it works there automatically. With the font family though, the idea is, I guess you're maybe thinking about it right now, it's not just one font that I can change, but I can refer to a whole family of fonts, or a whole variety of them. The reason we do that is because sometimes some computers don't react well to certain fonts, so we add some in as well as a backup. Okay, what kind of other backups there, or what does it accept? If you go to this website, W3 Schools, it has a whole heap of things, like a manual almost for website editing. And one thing is that it has a list of these suggested font families, right? So you can have a scroll through here and look at what you want. Let's say I looked at this one. You can see it's got kind of three things here. So these you can think about as backups. Impact is a font, charcoal is kind of like a description, and sans serif, that's talking about without curves. And so you can kind of research into that if you're more interested, but let's just copy that for now. And paste that here. Fresh. Okay, there you go. I should really add this in there. It didn't work for some reason. Cool, so that's kind of how we can change the font family. And it's not just fonts, you can change the positioning of it. So if I look at the text and I want to align it in a different way, I can say text align, and let's make it maybe centered. Center, they use the American spelling, so just be aware of that if you're typing in center and it's not working. There you go, that's cool. And I can change other things. I can change the color of the background as well. So let's go background color, and let's make it red. There we go. We got a nice little kind of banner going on there. A whole heap of other things you can change. You can also do, let's say, text. Now we can get a decoration, and what I mean by that is maybe we want an underline. That's something we can add. And there you go. So you can look up yourself on W3 Schools a whole heap of different things. But remember, the power of CSS is, hang on, I'm not just changing the H1 for this one. I can change the H1 for all of my web pages, right? Or if I go to another H1 tag and I make a new one, it's automatically going to have that. So let's look at this one, H1, forensics, okay, fresh. Okay, so it's already got that formatting there, which is really great. Let's go to this About Us page. I think this one's feeling a bit low. It doesn't have this right now. And remember, it doesn't have this because we haven't linked it. And to link it, let's go back to my indexation where I can actually just copy this thing out, and I'll put it in the header. Okay, save it. Ta-da! And now we've got the same formatting between both pages, which is great. Click this one. Yep, we've got the same formatting, which is awesome. Okay, cool. One more thing I do want to change is that I want to go back here, and you'll notice that on my links I have this underline, right? And that's because by default hyperlinks usually are blue and underline, which is great because it sometimes points out, okay, where are these links? Okay, here and here, right? But sometimes it can look a bit tacky. But we want to have a really clean look with our website. So not only can CSS add things to your styles, you can remove things as well. So if you want to think about how we actually do this, remember to change anything in CSS, we need a selector, a property, and a value. So what's our selector? What am I looking for? Well, you think about these tags I'm changing. I'm changing the A tag or the anchor tag. Let's go A. And what do I want to change about? I want to get rid of this underline. So that's that text decoration. I actually added that in my H1 tag. Now, how am I going to remove it in my anchor tag? Well, I'll literally just type none and suggest it there for me. Let's see what happens when I refresh. See, now all the underlines get removed from my links, and that's how I can get a much cleaner look for my website, for certain parts at least. Now, I hope you can start to see how we're going to start to form our nav bar. Now we can do certain things like, get rid of the underlines, separate them into different boxes. Maybe when I put my mouse over it, we can do certain things, and we're going to have a look at how we can do those in the next lesson or a couple lessons time. Awesome. Hope that helped. See you in the next one.